In this Nitty-Gritty Basics Let's Play live stream, we're going to be playing American Mah Jongg at I Love Mahj. The topic for today is exercising Charleston options. This is a new presentation, so I hope that you find it of value, especially if you're new to the game. If you're an intermediate player, this may be review, but there could be a few jewels that you can walk away from or walk away with. Oh my gosh, that was a Freudian slip just then. That'll go in the blooper reel this year. I want to say thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you, channel members, for helping support MAHJLIFE by joining one of the tiers. I also want to give a quick shout out to our moderators. Thank you so much for helping moderate chat. Today's format is nitty-gritty, which means we're going to keep the socialization to a bare minimum, if at all. If you prefer gameplay with commentary and socialization, join us on Friday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, where we do Simply Social Let's Play live stream, and it's a much more relaxed and stream of consciousness experience. With that, we're going to get started. Thanks so much for being here. Good morning. I'm just going to check YouTube and make sure that we're connecting, and we are. I will go ahead and share my screen. Well, let me get the presentation ready first. I always have to do this display settings swap. All right, let's see here. Now we'll share screen and get started with this new presentation. American Mah Jongg, exercising Charleston options. Do we have new players with us today? Relatively new will do as well. Welcome, Evelyn. Welcome, Lisa. Thank you for coming. Oh, yes. Let me check in with my iPad real quick.
My family is safe.
Turn off the sound. Okay, looking good. We're ready to go. All right, we're going to get started. So, exercising Charleston options. The first thing that I want to share is what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about how to get started with the Charleston, then how to pass defensively, when to pass blind, when to stop round 2, because you know there are 2 rounds of Charlestons. There are 2 Charleston rounds. That probably makes more sense. Then we're going to talk about when to take risks. I think this should cover all the Charleston options with one more item. How to measure results. How to measure results. We're going to cover that as well. So you can kind of track your progress with your decision making. Hold on. My mascara is getting on my glasses. We can't have that. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Okay, hopefully the mascara will dry soon. All right, next, let's just double check and make sure everyone's with me. All good? Everyone can hear me? Can you guys hear me okay? Hi, Mona. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick check. Test, test. Okay, you guys should be able to hear me. All right, we're going to keep going. Hold on one moment. I got it. Riley is scratching at the door. So this is Riley, if you're wondering. That's Riley. I got to let him in really quick. I forgot that I put him out there when I got ready for this. So I will be right back. All right, we should have no more interruptions. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. So how to get started. That's the first step. The purpose of the Charleston is to expedite hand development. It's interesting because I got an email, or I saw on social media actually, a post from a player who plays a different version, an Asian version of the game. And he decided that he was going to try to learn American Mah Jongg. And he did not understand why we do the Charleston. He knew how to do it, but he didn't understand the purpose behind it. And there is a purpose. It's to expedite hand development. It is actually a preliminary. The game doesn't start until East discards their first tile. So this is an opportunity for players to accelerate hand development. What that means when you play Mahjong is that you can improve a dealt hand by participating in the Charleston, where players exchange up to 21 tiles in up to 7 passes. And we're going to talk about the up to part here, because you're not always going to get 21 tiles. It depends on whether or not both rounds are going to happen. And that is a consensus at the table, or really any player can stop the Charleston. And we'll talk about that and when to do it and why to do it. So when you get your dealt hand, the first thing you should do is look for multiples. Multiples would be a pair, a pung. Pung is 3 of a kind, or maybe even a Kong. Sometimes we're blessed with 4 of a kind. So that's the first thing you should look for. American Mah Jongg is a game of multiples. So if you start there, you're going to be ahead of the game. Start with multiples. If your dealt hand has multiples, let that be the driving force. So whatever we do with this example, we're going to use the 7 dots. So all these little numbers, the 2, the 4, probably even the 3 and the 1, 3 and cracks will probably all go, because we're going to leverage the pair of 7s. It could be your internet, artistic, because it looks, Sue says it looks fine for her. I'm on my iPad and I can see clearly. And on my desktop, I can see clearly as well. So you might just wait. It could be your bandwidth. Okay. So here is this example. We have a pair of 7s, and clearly we could maybe play an odd hand of some kind. We have only 2 discards there, the 2 bam and the 4 dot. So probably if this were my hand, I would probably let the green dragon go. And that way we could pass 3 tiles to get started. So this would be an odd hand. So you look at the multiples and then you choose a category that will use most of your tiles. So we would play an odd hand here. If you don't have multiples, pick a category that matches the predominant pattern, like mostly evens, or mostly odds, mostly wins, mostly 3, 6, 9, for example. So one of the categories on the card where you can use most of your tiles, and that would be until a multiple forms. In this example, we have a pair of flowers, but all the other tiles are singles. So I would consider this a hand, even though we have a pair of flowers, you can use flowers in 44% of the hands. So I wouldn't let just the flowers drive my choice. I would look for the predominant pattern with the rest of the tiles that can maybe be used with the flowers. So in this case, I would probably play an even hand, because we have 2, 4, 2, 6, 2, 6, 8, bams, cracks, and dots. So that's 2, 4, 9 tiles. Maybe we could even use the dragons, at least one or both perhaps. So Here, we even have 3 discards that we could pass during the Charleston, the North, the 7 crack, and the 9 bam. And somehow we're going to try to use the flowers with whatever we end up with. We might even be able to play like numbers with 2s. If we get 3s, we could even maybe play a year hand. So just to recap, when you first get your dealt hand, look for multiples. Multiples in this case would be the 7 dot, and then pick a category that will use most of your tiles. In this case, odds. Here we did not have multiples other than the pair of flowers, but we have a predominant pattern of evens. So I would probably play evens, maybe like numbers, or maybe a year hand. And when I say maybe, I use that word because you really do not have to pick a hand at the beginning. You just want to choose a category to play and gather tiles for that category. And when you run out of discards for passing during the Charleston, that's when you will look at the hand level and whittle out your options to continue passing. Eventually, you'll need to pick a hand, but that doesn't typically happen until East discards that first tile and you start seeing tiles being discarded that you may be able to call and use to help expedite hand development. So try not to pick a hand. Stay at the category level, which means not picking a hand until you run out of discards. And all you're going to focus on is gathering tiles that can be used in the category. Here's another example. We have all single tiles here. We have a joker, which is nice. We have all single tiles. And probably if this were my hand, I would say that we could maybe play evens or 6, 7, 8, 9 in this case. Maybe even with the East and West and pass 1, 5, 8. Now there are all the 8s in here, one of each, but we have no flowers and no dragons. So I wouldn't consider like numbers. So this is one of those very challenging hands where you have no multiples and the predominant pattern is fairly weak, but things change during the Charleston. So here's the same hand during the Charleston where multiples developed. We got a 7 bam and an 8 crack. So those are now multiples that we can target and focus on those multiples to help expedite hand development. So these pairs are consecutive. So that means we're now going to play a consecutive hand of some kind. The consecutive run category has 11 hands to choose from, but there are consecutive runs throughout the card in other categories. So in this case, we could maybe even consider the news concealed hand if we get north and south. So if this, here's another pass underway. We got another 7 bam and we got a south. So I would keep, of course, the 7 bam pung, the 8 crack pair, and then I would consider news concealed under winds and dragons because we have that pung of 7 bams and a pair of 8 cracks. We could also maybe play consecutive run number 6, which would be pung kong, 7, 8, 7, 8. Consecutive run number 6. So there are options. And this is because we're just gathering to support the strength of the hand. The strength of the hand prior to this was a pair of 7 bams and a pair of 8 cracks. And we happened to get keepers. We got an 8 crack, we got a 7 bam, a south, and something else. So we got 2 keepers in one of these passes. Incidentally, these are actual hands that developed at I Love Mahj in their Charleston modeling room, which we're going to look at today. So when you're working with a predominant pattern, because you have no multiples, and a multiple forms, you're going to reassess and gather tiles to support the multiple or multiples if you have several. In this case, we have 2. Stay at the category level as long as possible, which means that you're not going to pick a hand until you're required to. Just continue to gather until you run out of discards. Keep tiles that can be used in the category regardless of suit. If you look at the card, there are all kinds of mixed suit hands. It's not just all one suit. There are fewer one suit hands than mixed suits. So keep all the suits. Whatever tile can be used in the category, keep them until you run out of discards. When you run out of discards, reduce your options based on the strength to continue passing. And we're going to talk a little bit more about being in between. So bear with me and we'll get there. Oh, here, we're going there now. If you're in between, pick the option with no gaps. So typically you may have options where you have a hand that you could potentially play, or maybe you're still at the category level. And let's say, for example, you're in between odds and 3, 6, 9. You can use the same number of tiles in either category. And whether or not you have multiples or not, you're in between. Let's say that you have no 3s, but you have 9s and maybe a 6. But then you also have 5 and 7. I would not play 3, 6, 9. I would just remove that as an option because we have no 3. So I would focus on odds. Let the 3, 6, 9 go so all the 6s can go to help you continue passing. I think we're going to have an example. We're going to talk about how to pass defensively first. So how do you pass defensively? Here's the best to worst case passing scenarios, because there's good, better, best. The first is a different number tile from each suit. So we could maybe pass, let's say, the 4 crack 7 bam 8 dot, the yellow, where it's highlighted in yellow. 4 crack 7 bam 8 dot. So in this example, I would probably play either 2, 3 of some kind, 2, 3 consecutive run, or maybe 3, 6, 9. We have a lot of 3, 6, 9 in here, more so than consecutive run with 2s and 3s. Even though we have consecutive pairs here, we have many more tiles for consecutive or for 3, 6, 9. So that's what I would focus on if these were my tiles. We're going to talk about passing in a few. That's what we're talking about right now, Evelyn. So bear with us. Okay, so a different number from each suit. That's pretty benign. The next one would be to pass a wind or dragon with mixed numbered and mixed suited tiles. So in this example, we could still play 3, 6, 9 and pass 7 bam 5 crack with a wind. That's benign. That's a pretty good pass. It might be a little bit risky with a 5, 7, but at least they're in 2 different suits. The idea here is that you want to focus on your hand as the top priority, and then do the best you can with the tiles that you have left over. There's always going to be some level of risk. You just want to mitigate the risk. So we have mitigated the risk by, let's see, not passing 2 wins, for example. And we're gonna keep looking at that. All the same category, that would be risky. So you don't want to do that. For example, here, we would pass 2.4 crack 8 bam and still focus on 3, 6, 9. That would be a little bit more risky, because if you're passing to someone who's playing evens, 2, 4, 6, 8, then you're going to put a smile on their face with this particular pass. One way to make this particular pass a little bit better would be to pass the east instead of all evens. So maybe keep the 4 crack and pass the east instead. That would mitigate the risk of passing all one category. The next risky pass would be all one suit. If you pass 5, 7, 8, that would be pretty risky. We could probably make this a little bit better by not passing the all BAMs. We could maybe pass 5, let's say the 7 BAM 2 dot with the East, instead of passing 5, 7, 8 in BAMs. That would be pretty risky. Let's say you might be tempted to keep the 2 dot to go with the 3 BAM in case maybe you get a 2 BAM, let's say. You could try to play that consecutive Ren hand 6-1 down, pung kong, in 2 suits. Maybe you're hoping for a 2 BAM, so you're going to keep the 2 dot. And that would maybe require you to consider passing all the BAMs, or at least 2 BAMs, and then maybe that East. So the East is a great tile to pass in this particular case, so that you're not passing one suit. The next risky one is white dragons or flowers. You want to mitigate the risk, and white dragons are a dual tile. You can use it as a 0 for year hands, or you can use it also as a dragon. And then flowers are used in 44% of the hands. So try not to pass flowers. Make it a rarity. Sometimes you can make a calculated risk and accept that, depending on how far you've been able to develop your hand. If you have a fully developed hand and you only have a couple of discards, you might consider a risky pass. So these are all guidelines, and they're meant to be broken, even more so than rules per se. So the next one, the last one, in my opinion, is like numbers or pairs. And I put those nearly at the same level. I actually cringe when I pass like numbers. I really don't do it very often. I make it a last resort. If my hand is really well developed, I might risk passing like numbers if I think I might get a keeper in the final couple of passes. So in this particular case, you might consider passing a 2 dot, break up that pair, focus on 3, 6, 9, and then let the 2 8s go. I think I probably would pass the flower instead of 2 8s in this case, because if you're passing a 2 with 8s, that's combining all the same category and like numbers. So you're doubling down on your risk here by passing like numbers and evens. So I would probably mitigate the risk by passing 1 8 and then passing a flower, which is a step up in, or a step down in risk, I guess, because flowers would be above the risk level for like numbers. And any questions about risk? The best case would be a different number from each suit. I almost think I've kind of been changing my mind on something here. I think passing a single wind or dragon with mixed numbered suits and mixed suited tiles is number 1. I think that is the most benign pass you can do, because there are fewer wind hands than there are hands with number tiles. So by not passing all number tiles, you might miss your opponent by passing a wind, since there are fewer hands. So I think I'm going to move the single wind and dragon with 2 different numbered suited tiles. Even if you, maybe there's an even and an odd, a little and a big number, like a 2 7 with a wind, or a 2 7 in 2 suits with a dragon. I think that should be number 1, the most benign. So I think I'm going to change that for this next time that I share this. And then the next one down would be all number tiles, but at least they're different suits. and hopefully a mixture of little and big, even and odd. I hope that this helps. If not, or if you have other ideas, let me know in the comment section below the video. We're going to keep going. I haven't seen any questions, so we're going to keep going. After you identify the strength of your hand and you gather supporting tiles, pass as defensively as possible with the remaining tiles in summary. So here's the example of a pair of 7 dots. We're going to maybe play odds. So for passing, we could pass 1 crack, 2 bam, 4 dot. And maybe even, let's see, 5. See, we might even be able to use the dragon if we played that 5th hand down on the right, 5-7 dragon 7-9. That's why that would be a keeper. 5-7. Let's see, it would be 5-7 dot 7-9 crack. Okay, so here I would probably pass 1 crack, 2 bam, 4 dot, and focus on odds. So here's another example. It looks like we got in a pair of 9 bams with this next pass. So in this next pass, I would probably pass 1 dot, 6 dot, 3 crack, because we could maybe play a different odd hand here. Maybe the 5th hand down on the right with the dragons, but we could also maybe play the 4th hand down. Oh, I'm sorry, not the 4th hand, the 6th hand down. 5-7 pair with pungs of 9s. 5-7 dot, 9 crack, 9 bam punged with flowers. And that would leverage both multiples. If you can leverage both, all your multiples, if you can find an option where you're using all your multiples, go with that option, even if you have gaps, because hopefully eventually you can fill the gap with the natural tiles or jokers if they're a 3 of a kind or greater in size. So here we received a 5 dot pair. Now we have 5 dot, 7 dot pair. I would focus on that 6th hand down on the right, 5-7 dot pair, and then pungs of 9s with flowers. So I would discard or pass the 1 bam, 5 crack, and the west. It's a little bit risky because we're passing a 1 and a 5, but we're adding a wind, so that mitigates the risk a little bit. And then we're also using 2 different suits with the 1 and the 5. So we're doing the best we can with what we have. You might think, okay, well, what about, actually, you know what would be better here would be 1 bam, 7 crack, keep the 5. A 1-7, I think, is better than a 1-5, because if someone's playing little odds, they could maybe use 1 bam if they have a 3 bam, and if they have a 3 crack with a 5 crack, 1-3-3-5 second hand down under odds. So I think a 7 crack might be a better tile to pass. 1 bam, 7 crack, west. That would mitigate the risk even a little bit more. So think about that when you're doing your passing. How can you mitigate the risk? How can you make your passes as benign as possible? Because you don't want to help your opponents develop their hand. Your hand comes first. You do the best you can for your hand. Then you do the best you can with what is left over as you give them away to your opponents defensively. So the next pass, we didn't get any, let's see, we did not get any keepers. So here we have a 2 bam, we have a 4 dot and a 6 dot. That's what's highlighted here as passing. And that would be passing 1 category, evens. You can make that better by passing the green dragon instead of 2, 4, 6. So I think because the 4, 6 are in 1 suit, I would probably keep the 4 dot and pass green dragon, 2 bam, 6 dot. That would mitigate the risk of passing all evens. And it would even break up 2 suits or 1 suit, the 4-6. If you pass 2 bam, 4-6 in dots, that's a bit risky. So keep the 4 dot, pass the green dragon instead to mitigate the risk. So on the next pass, it looks like I did pass the 4 dot, 6 dot because we still have that green dragon. We didn't get any more keepers. We've got a 1 dot, 3 crack green dragon, and that would be a fine pass. Actually, I think, let's see, I think I would do this 1 dot, 3 crack green dragon. You might think, well, what about passing the 1 crack? Well, you don't want to pass like numbers. That's like number 6 on the risk level. That's very risky, passing like numbers. So I would pass either the 3 or the 7. But there's another hand in here we could potentially use with that 7 crack, and that would be 5-7 dot, 7-9 crack, second hand down on the right. Even though 5-7 dot pairs with pungs of 9s, 6th hand down, looks really strong, and there's no gaps. So if you wanted to mitigate the risk, you can give up on that 5-7-7-9 hand because it's weak. It's weaker than the 6th hand down. So if you're in between and you want to mitigate the risk to an opponent, let's say maybe your opponent is an advanced player, or maybe they keep winning that day and you don't want to help them out, you could mitigate the risk by, instead of passing the 3 crack, pass, let me see, the 7 crack. Because the 1 dot with the 3 crack, it's a little closer together. If they have, let's say, a 2 bam, which we passed earlier, and they're gathering consecutive tiles, they may be able to use the 1 and the 3. Or if they're playing little odds, they could use the 1 and the 3. With a 1 dot and a 7 crack, 2 different suits, the only way they can use that would be 2 hands. The first hand that uses 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, or let me see, actually 3 hands, because they could maybe play the concealed hand and also the hand just above it, which has 3 pair. So regardless, you're going to have a little bit of risk, but maybe passing the 7 crack would be a little bit less risky. All right, we're going to move on. So now we have a 6.5 crack 1 bam. It's a little bit more risky, but we've developed a hand pretty well here. We have 5-7 dot paired up. We could pung the 9 bam. We could even pung the 9 crack for the 6th hand down under odds. And all we need to do is build our flowers, and there are 8 of them. So that would be the only weakness here. So I would probably risk passing 1, 5, 6. The risk here would be little odds with 1 and 5, and then consecutive run with 5 and 6, 5 crack, 6 dot. But it's the best we can do with what we have here. Let's see. We could probably mitigate the risk though with the 1 crack. If you pass, no, that won't work because we have 1 bam. I would not pass 1 bam, 1 crack, 6 dot. I would rather pass 5, 6 than 2 1s. Passing like numbers is almost as risky as passing a pair. It might even be equally risky. I believe like numbers are in, is it 44% of the hands on the card? I'll have to double check that percentage, but it's nearly half of the hands on the card use like numbers. It's up there. So passing like numbers is very risky. So if this were my hand, I would pass 1 bam, 5 crack, 6 dot. Leverage multiples. So this last pass, we have a 2 bam we can let go of, a 1 crack or 1 dot, either one, and then the 8 dot. So we still haven't gotten more keepers, but we're just trying to mitigate risk with our discards. And then we ended up with this particular hand, and we have 5 discards. 5 discards, including like numbers, but we have a hand with no gaps. And we could even call for the 9 band and the 9 crack if we use our joker. All we need to do is build up our flowers. And there are 8 of them. So I'd say we're in a pretty good shape for this particular hand after that Charleston, even though we have 5 discards. And we're going to talk about how to measure results in a little bit. So I think we're doing the optional cross though now. Let's see. No, we're actually done with this example. So the idea here is just, in summary, to focus on developing your hand as the top priority, and then do the best you can with what you have left over. This tactic works. You've got to trust the process. Let's talk about when to pass blind now. When to pass blind. The priority is to develop your hand. As I said a moment ago, that's the top priority. Develop your hand. Your hand is the number one focus. Then you pass as defensively as you can with whatever's left over. There will always be some level of risk in every pass. Your challenge is to mitigate the risk. That's part of the challenge of the Charleston. You do not want to help your opponent develop their hand. That's why you mitigate the risk. If your hand has progressed to a point where you have less than 3 discards to pass, or you have tiles that create a very risky pass, consider passing blind. So those are 2 variables that you need to consider. If you have less than 3, or if your 3 would create a risky pass, like maybe a flower, a dragon, and a wind, that would be very risky. I might stop the Charleston. Or if you have like numbers and a dragon, I would did I say, I meant pass blind, because we're talking about passing blind right now. So I would probably pass blind instead of passing something highly risky. And just remember that 6 level of risk slide that we talked about a little bit ago. If you are in between, don't pass blind. This would be a no. Choose the hand that uses the most of your multiples, or if you have no multiples, most of your tiles. If there are gaps in one of the hands or categories, choose the hand or category where you have no gaps. No gaps. Let it go. Just let it go and pass fully, because you want to try to optimize your potential to further develop your hand, and having more tiles is could help you do that. If you're committed to one hand and you have 4 or more discards, or if you're committed to one hand and you have a gap with 3 discards, don't pass blind. Pass normally on the second left. If you run out of discards on the cross pass, you can sacrifice a needed tile. And let's talk about the variables to consider when you're passing across, if you get all keepers. When you're playing a jokerless hand with singles, pass a single tile, because it can be claimed to win if you're close enough. If you're playing something outside that single and pair category, an exposable hand, so you're not playing a concealed hand, or you're playing an exposable hand, or maybe you're even playing a concealed hand and you can use jokers for any block with 3 or more identical tiles, pong kong, then pass a tile that will not leave a gap. And if that particular sacrifice was painful, you can recover during the pick and discard phase of the game. Maybe you can do a joker exchange, or maybe you'll pick a joker from the wall. So I would not pass blind if I am committed to one particular hand and I have 4 discards. Or if I'm committed to a hand and I have a gap in my hand with 3 discards, I would not stop the Charleston. I would continue because, or I don't mean stop the Charleston. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Passing blind is what we're talking about. The thing is that these variables are the same for both of those scenarios, and we're going to talk about that. If you're committed to one hand with 2 or more discards, or you have very risky discards, you can pass blind. Well, you can pass blind anytime, but is it wise to pass blind anytime? No. Like in this case, I probably would pass blind. If I only have a couple of discards and those discards are very risky, I might consider passing blind. The number of tiles you pass blind is situational, but pass as few blind as possible. A risky pass may be worth it. And it's going to be, there are going to be dependencies. If you're set, meaning you can claim a discard for every block of your hand, every component is ready to go. That's what I call being set. Some people call being set ready to win, ready to declare Mahjong, but I call that ready. I call that being ready to win. So in my definition, set means that you can claim a discard for each component of your hand, each block. If you're playing pung kong, and you have pair pung, you're ready to call a discard for every one of those. That is called being set. I would pass blind instead of breaking that up because that hand is very well developed. If you have 2 tiles from a ready hand, pass blind. Regardless, pass the most innocuous tiles, especially because you don't know the supplement tiles from your incoming pass. What happens, for example, if you decide to risk passing a flower and the tile that you picked from your incoming pass happens to be a flower? You won't know because a blind pass means you're not supposed to look at it. There's no penalty if you do, but the rule is that you do not look at that pass. You could end up passing a pair of flowers. So it is risky to pass blind because you don't know what's coming in that pass. You're just going to take one of those tiles and give it away without looking. So you'll have to make a calculated, you make a decision based on a calculated risk. If your hand is very well developed, the risk may be worth it. So you have to think about these variables as to whether or not to pass blind. Let's see, I think here, this is an error. I need to change this title to when to stop the Charleston, not when to pass blind. So forgive me, that's a typo. So we're talking now about when to stop the Charleston. And the scenarios are very similar. The variables are similar. It's going to be a matter of how well developed your hand is, and are you willing to give your opponents a risky pass. The bottom line is to stay flexible. Eventually, you're going to need to whittle down your options. So I would not stop the Charleston if you're in between. Pick one option or the other, whichever one is stronger, and let go of the weaker option so that you can keep going. You're only delaying the inevitable by stopping the Charleston when you're in between, whether you're in between categories or in between hands. It is better to let the weaker option go and focus on the stronger option and continue the Charleston. The reason is because if you stop the Charleston and you're in between, you're denying yourself up to 9 tiles that could help develop your stronger hand. It's going to be inevitable that you have to make that decision. Why not do it now when you can exponentially improve your dealt hand before East discards the first tile? That is the whole purpose of the Charleston, to expedite hand development. So it behooves you to make the choice now rather than stop the Charleston when you're in between. So here's an example. Is there an article on passing blind? Probably, yes. Let me just look real quick for you. Oh, I was already there, darn it. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I have a few. There are several. If you type passing blind in the wiki, which by the way is as a knowledge base of articles on rules and strategies, etiquette, and more, teaching the game, there's a lot in there. I have over 200 articles. And this is a free on-demand service to the community. So if you go to MAHJLIFE.com and use the wiki, click on wiki, and then use the search feature, you can find all kinds of articles on rules, strategies, etiquette, teaching the game, and more. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 articles on this concept, passing blind and stopping the Charleston. So feel free to use the wiki and look at, okay, excellent. And then of course we'll cover this whole concept on a recurring basis. It's on an 8-topic, or I'm sorry, oh yeah, it is 8-topic rotation. So we'll revisit this topic again in 8 weeks. Every 8 weeks we'll be demonstrating these concepts. And hopefully we'll have time to do some demonstration at I Love Mahj in just a little bit. So let's talk about, or let's look at this example here. So we have like a potential for like numbers number 2. We've got a pair of flowers, a pair of red dragons, and we have all the 2s, including a pair of 2s. So would you, let's see, this would be, I believe this is still stopping the Charleston. I would probably not stop the Charleston here. Let's see, because we've got 2, 6, 8. Let's see, 8. We have like numbers with 8s and like numbers with 6s. I might actually stop the Charleston. Let's see what I would not stop the Charleston. I would pass 6.8 bam red dragon. We don't need both red dragons if we're playing like numbers. So I would not stop the Charleston here or pass blind. I would break up the pair of dragons and play like numbers with dragons with in the concealed hand, or maybe the first like number hand. So I would break up the pair of dragons. All right, let's look at another example. Like numbers number 2, we have this time 5s. We have 2 pairs of 5s, a 5 band, and all those dragons. Here, I would pass blind and I would stop the Charleston. Pardon me, because we have 2, 4, 6, 8, and 1 suit. That would be extremely risky. That would be very risky. I probably would not do that. So if I were at a place in the first left, I might pass blind. If this were after the first left, and whether I would stop the Charleston or not, I probably would continue and pass risky, because we have all of our singles. We have 2 pair and a single. So we have no gaps for this like number hand. So I probably would pass blind. And I probably, if this were on that second, after the first left, if this were my hand, I might consider continuing and passing risky, because the hand is pretty well developed and we can use jokers. Even though it's concealed, we still have to draw well or do joker exchanges to help us build our hand, but we're very close. So I would want to continue to see if I could get another 5, more 5s, 5 bams specifically. All right, when to stop round 2. Okay, I guess we were talking about passing blind. Okay, so let's talk about when to stop round 2. If you're in between, don't stop the Charleston. Choose the hand that uses most of your multiples, or if you have no multiples, most of your tiles. So it's going to sound redundant, but the variables are very similar. If you're committed to one hand with 4 or more discards, or you're committed to one hand and you have a gap with 3 discards, don't stop round 2. Pass normally on the second left. If you run out of discards on the optional cross, sacrifice a needed tile. You can recover later. If you're playing a jokerless hand with singles, pass a single, because maybe you could claim it to win or draw it from the wall. If you're not playing a jokerless hand, pass a tile that will not leave a gap. If the sacrifice was bad, recover during the pick and discard phase of the game. Also, if you're committed to one hand with only 1 or 2 discards, or if you're committed to a pair hand with 3 or fewer discards, regardless of gaps, you might want to stop the Charleston at that point. If you want to participate in the optional lacrosse and you have 3 tiles, negotiate for 2. Do not expect anything in return, because if anyone stops the Charleston, it is a good strategy to disengage, because you can be dealing into a near ready hand or even a ready hand. You just won't know. I would not pass all 3, because if you stop, I mean, you can if you want to, but you're going to get criticism from your opponents. If you stop the Charleston and you say, I want 3 tiles, they're going to say, well, why didn't you keep going? If you have 3 tiles to pass, you should probably keep going. This is when you have 1 or only 2 discards, or if you're playing a pair hand and you have 3, I would say I just want 2 so that I can save face, basically. You don't want to bring on that criticism. You don't want to trigger your opponents by asking for 3 when you stop the Charleston, which requires 3 tiles. They're going to say, well, why didn't you pass? If you say you want 2, then they would maybe think, oh, okay, she didn't have enough to pass. You don't have to give a reason, though. There's no requirement to tell them why. And they shouldn't ask you why either. But typically it does happen. Your opponents are expecting those tiles. So, and they're hoping probably to continue the Charleston. So when players continually stop the Charleston and then want to do the optional lacrosse, that can create some discontent in the game for your opponents. So be mindful of the reasons why you're making those decisions. Make sure that you're considering all the variables and whether or not the choice to stop the Charleston or pass blind, as we were talking about, is wise, because it's best to do the entire Charleston because of the purpose of that process. It's to expedite hand development. So if your hand is very well developed, then you might stop the Charleston. But if you do, ask for 2 instead of 3 so that you can avoid that criticism and, mitigate the pain, minimize the pain from your opponents. Not getting 1 tile is not going to be as painful for yourself, and it could help ease the anxiety in the room if you only ask for 2. I hope that helps. The question was for the previous example, pass all 3. Are you talking about here? Here we are talking about passing blind. I would pass blind. I would probably pass blind, because I wouldn't want to pass 2, 4, 6, 8 in one suit. 2, 4, 6 or 2, 6, 8 or 4, 6, 8. That would be very risky. I would not do this, because we still need a lot more development here. If we're playing a concealed hand, probably the concealed hand. We only have one flower, so, and 3 dragons. So I'd probably play the concealed hand. We are going to need to draw really well. And so I don't think the risk is worth it to pass all one suit in all one category. So I would pass blind here. I would not pass 3 tiles. No, I would not pass 3 here. I would pass 2. I would pass 1 blind and hope that it is a different suit. And I also would hope to get in a different suited discard so that I could pass maybe, let's say, a 4-8 with a suited tile, like a dot or a bam, instead of 4-6-8 in one suit. But let's say that I received a 5 bam from my opponent, then I would have 3 multiples with my 5s, and I would maybe risk passing one suit 4-6-8 in my cross pass if I got a keeper in that pass. You'd pass 1 blind? Yes, I would. I would pass 1 blind here because I think passing 2-4-6-8 of some kind in one suit is very risky. And I don't think this particular hand is quite developed enough. If we had one more keeper in here, I would probably, or let's say we had a gap. Let's say we did not have a 5 bam. Or let's say that well, either way, I wouldn't, because passing 2-4-6-8 in one suit would be very risky. And the hand is just not developed enough. If we had another 5 bam in here at this stage, I might risk passing 3 suits because the hand would be more developed. So it really depends on how well developed the hand is as to whether or not the risk is going to be warranted. So that's what you have to consider. How close are you to completing that hand? The closer you are to completing a hand, the more risk you can take. So here we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 discards. That's a lot. That's a lot of discards. If I had only 3 discards, the hand would be much further developed and the risk would be warranted because the hand is more fully developed. So I hope that helps. Please let me know if that helps. Pass 4-8 with 1 blind. 4-8 or 2-6. It's 6 one, half dozen the other. But I probably would break up the 6 because I wouldn't want to get stuck with a pair if I happen to get all keepers. So I'd probably break up the 6. If this is the first left, I would probably want to break up the 6 crack pair because I would want to then be able to pass in the next round if I get a keeper, and I don't want to get stuck passing a pair. So I would probably break up the 6 here. So probably the 2-6 is what I would pass. And then the 4-6-8 would go next if I got a keeper. But if I didn't get a keeper, then I could mitigate the risk and pass maybe 4-8. Not save the 8 crack for Joker. Oh, no, 6 crack. The 6 cracks for Joker bait. Okay, that's a great question, Lori. Okay, so Joker bait during the Charleston is not helpful. You're better off to continue to break it up. A pair you don't, just if someone doesn't know what Joker bait is, this is a pair that you don't need, that you can maybe use in the middle of the middle game. You would discard one of those tiles after your opponents have been able to develop their hand. You discard that 6 crack and hopefully inspire them to call it and make an exposure with a Joker. And then on your next turn, you use the second 6 crack to get the Joker. But you've got to get all the way to the middle game and you're still in the Charleston. So that 6 crack pair is a hindrance. I would rather break it up and have more tiles to help me get through the entire Charleston. Because if you're going to hold on to that 6 crack pair as Joker bait, it's going to shackle you. It's going to lessen your ability to pass fully and continue the Charleston by 2 tiles. because they're clearly not keepers here. We're playing like numbers with fives and probably dragons. So the 6 crack is not needed. And we're just in the first round of the Charleston. So to get all the way from this place to the middle of the middle game with that pair is slim to none, because you're probably going to be able to develop the hand in the begin and middle game, the early part of the middle game, to gather more tiles to help you get ready. And by then you maybe will have already discarded that 6 crack. You've got to give people time to develop their hand. And that's why joker bait during the Charleston is really not helpful. So joker bait typically is a good strategy after East discards. So typically what happens is, if you have just a whole lot of discards and you happen to have a pair during the Charleston and lots of discards, then maybe keep it. But in this case, we don't have a lot of discards. We have only 3. We have the 2, 4, 8 in cracks, and then the pair of 6s. That's only 3 discards. It's very tight. I would rather break it up. But if during the begin game, after East discards, and you develop joker bait, you get a pair that you don't need, then I would try to hold on to it for the middle of the middle game at that point, if I can, or hold on to it as long as possible, and then try to use it for joker bait. That might work better. So holding on to a pair you don't need during the Charleston is only going to shackle you, in my opinion. It really depends on how many discards you have. Here we only have 3 plus joker bait, so it's going to hinder you or shackle you. So I'd rather break it up. Okay, I hope that helps. And I would call this a more advanced strategy, which is why I didn't really bring it up in this one. But since you asked, I shared. And I hope it helps, and I hope it's not too overwhelming for beginners. I have a lot of videos on joker bait. If you go to my YouTube channel and type joker bait in the search, you'll find videos. If you go to the wiki and type joker bait, you'll find an article with links to videos on joker bait. I think I have 6 strategy videos, and then lots of strategy theory and demonstration of joker bait. If you just look in the YouTube channel, or if you type matrix in the wiki, you'll find the skills and strategies matrix. Joker bait or joker tactics is one of the recurring topics. And in that particular session, we talk about joker bait. All right, so let's catch up to where we were. Okay, so when to stop the Charleston, basically when you know what hand you're playing, you have no gaps, you have less than, oh, let's see, we were right here. You have less than 2 discards, less than 3 discards, really, 1 or 2 discards, or you're playing a pair hand with 3. This is where we said, yes, stop the Charleston, and then negotiate for 2 so that you don't bring on criticism from your opponents. Many of your opponents will accept passing 2 after stopping the Charleston. Some will not. That's why I say don't expect anything in return, because it is a good strategy to not, or to decline passing to an opponent who has stopped the Charleston. Yes, especially if they pass blind as well, because passing blind and stopping the Charleston, those are tells. Those are signs. Those are indicators or clues to your opponents that you are developing your hand quickly. Now, there is some chance that a player may not know what they're doing, or maybe they are in between hands or categories, but it's very hard. There's no way to know if that is the case. And many players think that it's too risky to do the optional cross with someone who either or both pass blind and stop the Charleston. So consider that and prepare yourself for a decline. And don't take it personally. It is not meant to be taken personally at all. It is part of the game. All right, so here's an example. When to stop round 2. Here's the like number example. We've got like numbers with twos. We have 6 bam pair, 8 crack pair, 8 dot pair. So would we stop the Charleston? Probably not, because we could pass the probably the 6 bam, 8 crack, 7 dot. Even though we have 2 pair, 3 pair here, 6, 8, 8. That's really not helpful, but we do have a potential for like numbers with twos. I would break up 2 pair. Excuse me. So I would break up the 6 and the 8 and pass the 7 dot. So 6 bam, 8 crack, 7 dot. Don't stop round 2 in this particular one. Some people might be tempted to stop the Charleston because they can't decide what to do, but you're just delaying the inevitable. Go with whatever is stronger. The strongest option here is like numbers with twos. So break up the other pairs, as in this particular example. That would be my opinion. All this is my opinion, really. Strategy is an art. Hand development is an art, and it's all subjective. So it's whatever your instinct says, your experience says, not hope. You don't want to make decisions based on hope. You want to make decisions based on calculated risks. So back to the example. Here we have a single and pair hand. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Look at those multiples. And incidentally, this is an actual hand. All of these are. And I have a pair of 1 dots and a 3 bam. So would I stop the Charleston? Yes, I would stop the Charleston because we have 3 discards. But I have a pair. Now, am I going to pass a pair to my opponent in the optional across? No way. I'm not going to pass a pair. I'm going to say I want 2. And I'm going to break up the pair and give them a 1 dot and a 3 bam. I think I say that here. Yes. 1 dot, 3 bam. I would not pass a pair. Even though the single and pair hand is well developed, it's concealed, and we need more. We need 7 pair here, 7 consecutive pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need to build up the 3 dot, 6 dot, and 7. That's a lot of drawing. Lucky drawing, by the way. Now, if you decide to pass a pair, that would be your prerogative. I would not recommend it, though. No. This is stopping the Charleston. This would be a stop the Charleston. If this were during the blind, yes, I would pass to 1 blind. If this happens to be in the first left, I would pass 1 blind. And then if I got a keeper, I would stop the Charleston and pass 1 and probably get a decline. Okay. All right. Next. When to take risks. Here's year number 1 or number 2. We have a joker, a pair of flowers, a white dragon. We have 2, 3 in dots, 2, 3 in cracks. We have a pair of 9 bams and a 4 dot. Those are the discards. Even though the 9 bam is a pair, it sure looks nice, but it doesn't work with 2, 3. We've got a nice strong start to a year hand, or maybe 2, 3, 2, 3, pung kong, pung kong. So would there be a reason to risk either stopping the Charleston or passing blind? I would say no. I would probably break something up and give something away and then maybe recover later. So I would pass probably the 4 dot, the 9 bam, and then probably let something go. I'd probably let, if we're playing a year hand, year number 1 or 2, we have a gap, no 3 bam. So I probably would let the 3 dot go. So I'd pass the 9 bam, 3 dot, 4 dot. Or maybe what you could do is pass the 2 crack. Because, pass the 2 crack because you could always maybe switch to consecutive run number 6. So I would not take a risk here. We need more development. If I were passing still, I would probably pass 2. I would not pass a pair, though. No, I would not. Okay, now here we have like numbers with 8s. We have a gap. We have no 8 dot, but we do have a couple of jokers and 3 flowers. We have tiles that we can pass though. So I would not take any risk here. We have a great pass. We can pass east with a 4 and a 6. That's not bad at all. That's a little bit risky because we've got a 4 and a 6. Those are evens, but at least they're 2 different suits. So there's very little risk there. Okay, so now here we have another option. We have odds number 1 or 4. Odds number 1, we would have no 9 bams. We have an extra multiple with the 8 bam. And we have a north-south and a 2 crack. So we have plenty of discards here. So I would not take any risks. I would mitigate risk and pass defensively. Maybe pass a wind with an 8 and a 2 and keep all my odds. Here's another example. We have 1 bam pair, 3 dot pung, 5 crack pair. So maybe we're playing 3 odds number 3-1, pair of flowers, and then Kongs 1, 3, 5 and mixed suits. We would pass like numbers here and a 1 dot. Would I take a risk? Yes, I would, because the hand is very well developed. We could, with these jokers, Kong the 1 bam, Kong the 3 dot as a pure Kong, and then use the other joker for the 5 and Kong, we'd be ready to win on a flower. It's a little bit risky. Hopefully you'll draw the flower, but passing like numbers with a hand this well developed would be a reasonable risk, because you're probably going to be ahead of the game. You're probably going to be ahead of your opponents with this much hand development underway. Here's another example, consecutive run 2-2, consecutive run 2-2, 5, 6, 7, 8, pung, kong, pung, kong, 5 crack, 6 crack, 7 bam, 8 bam. We have a pair of 4s and an east-south. So here we're going to have to take a little bit of a risk because we have 2 wins, and I would probably do it. Typically, I don't recommend passing 2 wins, but because the hand is developed with 3 multiples plus a joker, and it is a pung kong hand, that's what I call a hand of least resistance, and you can use any number of jokers, so the hand is nearly indestructible. All you need are maybe jokers if you're not quite ready, for example, to Kong the 6 crack. You can use jokers if you don't get it quick enough and they maybe are discarded. You can still recover with jokers with this kind of a hand. So I would say the risk would be warranted to pass 2 wins because of the hand development and the type of hand it is. Pung Kong, you can use any number of jokers. And with that, I would say the risk would be warranted. Here's one more. I'm thinking this is the last example. We have evens number 2 or evens number 6. This would mean that we would have to pass 2, 7, 8 in all dots. Is the risk worth it? Yes. The hand is pretty well developed. Pretty well developed. Since there are 2 pair in there with the 4 and the 6, I would definitely keep the red dragon and risk passing 7, 8. That's a little bit risky. The 2, 8 together has a little bit of risk for one hand. Well, that's not necessarily true. There are 3 1 suit options in evens, so it would be a little bit risky. 7, 8 in 1 suit and 2, 8 in 1 suit. That's a bit risky, but the hand is pretty well developed. So I would take a risk here. So the bottom line is you want to look at how well developed your hand is. And the indicator is going to be how many discards you have, which is what we're going to talk about right now. How to measure results after the Charleston. If you have more than 4 discards, you are likely going to be an underdog for that hand. If you have 4 discards, you're likely a contender. If you have less than 4 discards, you are likely a front runner. So more than 4, underdog; 4, contender; less than 4, front runner. So let's look at this real quick. Here's odds number 1. This is after the Charleston. We have 5 discards. So we would be an underdog here if we play odds 1-1. 5 discards, we would be an underdog. We need a Kong of 5 cracks. We got a ways to go there. And then we need a pair of 1 cracks. So there's a little bit of risk there. So I would say we would be an underdog with 5 discards. Here's another example. Wins number 7. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 7. So this would be the concealed hand. We have an extra east. We have a pung of 7 dots and an 8 dot. So we have the east is a discard, 7 dot, 9 dot, and 9 crack. We have 4 discards. I would say we'd be a contender. And the reason I would say we'd be a contender for a concealed hand, even though we can't call, we can use jokers. We can use jokers to help with the north. We can use jokers to help with our 8. Even though we're concealed, we're still going to have to draw really well, but I'd still say we're a contender for this particular hand. If you're playing like numbers, in this particular case, look at this. We have a pair of flowers, pair 1 band, pair 1 crack, pair 1 dot. We have a red and a green dragon. We have only 2 discards. We would be a front runner on this one. So this is a great result after the Charleston. We would be probably way ahead of our opponents on this particular hand. Here's another example of consecutive run 2-2. Front runner here as well. 2 dot or 2 crack, 3 crack, 4 crack. That looks pretty, but 1, 2 dot, 3, 4 crack for consecutive run, second hand down, pung kong, pung kong. We would have 3 discards plus joker bait, because now we're at the end of the Charleston, which means we're now doing picking and discarding. We've got 3 discards. We might be able to get that 2 crack pair to that middle game where we can use that 2 crack as joker bait. And look in the wiki, search for joker bait if you want to learn more about that strategy, or look at the matrix, the skills and strategies matrix for when we cover joker tactics. I don't remember when that is, but there's a date on there as to when that'll be. So we'll be a front runner. So the idea here is with underdog, contender, front runner, with each of those, there's going to be, it's going to tell you at what level of risks you can take. If you take a low, for example, if you're an underdog, you should take low risk. If you're a contender, you can be very mindful of the risks that you take, but you may take more risks if you're a contender. And if you're a front runner, I would just I would run the race as fast as I can. I would do everything I can to continue developing my hand regardless of risk. So if you're a front runner, you can go high risk because you're probably ahead of your opponents. And a high risk example as a front runner would be maybe if someone discards a tile that you need during you're in the begin game, that first wall, the first, let's say 4 or 5 discards, and you can Kong with 2 jokers, I would do it to continue developing my hand as a front runner. The risk would be worth it, even if you lose those jokers, because your hand is well developed. So the closer you are to front runner, the more risks you can take to continue your hand development. The smarter you play, the luckier you will be. That is a quote by Mark Pilarski, who is a casino columnist. So he knows his stuff when it comes to strategy games and games of chance. There's still some luck involved in playing Mahjong, but the smarter you play, the less luck you'll even need, because you'll be making smart decisions, especially during the Charleston when you can expedite hand development. I hope this helps. We're going to now play some games at I Love Mahj. Hopefully we'll get in at least 2 or 3, and we'll see how that goes. See if we can get some examples in here. I hope you found that presentation helpful. Let's see here. I need to quickly go up here. Oh yeah. We'll just leave that there. Okay, I'm going to go to I Love Mahj now, and we're going to play a few games with robots. Let me know, tell me in chat what you think about that presentation and if you found the content helpful. I'm just pulling up. Oh, very helpful. Thank you, Artistic. Excellent. Okay, here's I Love Mahj. If you haven't played here, by the way, and you'd like to give it a try, if you use MAHJLIFE as the promo code, you can get 3 weeks free to try it out. And I am an affiliate partner, so I will get a little bit of a commission if you decide to become a paid member. And of course, I appreciate the support. You can play with robots, you can play with your friends. You can also use the exercise room, which because of time, I am going to just go straight with bots so that we can hopefully get some examples of, we're going to stick with intermediate robots. You can choose beginner, intermediate, or advanced. We're going to do intermediate. I'm hoping that we'll have some opportunities to do some Charleston decision making. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go back because we're really talking about Charleston decision making. Let's go in the exercise room instead. I changed my mind. Sorry if I threw you for a loop. We're going to go into Charleston practice. We'll do one of these and then we'll do a game with robots afterwards. So, oops. Let me see here. I have to reshare my screen. Okay, here we go. All right, so here we go. We have bot level 2. I'm going to start the game. I'm going to go full screen here. Let's see, this one I think that one has a bigger screen. Very helpful. Excellent. Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Sue. Evelyn, thank you. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Charleston.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to do the Charleston. Look what we've got here. We've got a pung of 1s. So you target the multiple. Whatever we do, we're going to use the 1. That is the deciding factor here. 1 dot pung. With a 1 dot pung, I would probably hold the 1 crack. I would probably hold the north. We might even be able to play a quint if we get more 1s. I would definitely keep the flower. Passing flowers is very risky. We have a 1 dot pung, 1 crack. I think I would probably keep the 3 crack. If we happen to get a 5 dot, maybe we could play the second odd hand. And then I would probably at this point figure out what to pass. Like 1 of each suit probably. Oh, you know what? We have a hand in here. 1 dot 3 crack 5 bam. That's a hand with no gaps. That's the 3rd hand down. And with the risk here, 6, 7, 9, 7, 8, and 1 suit with a 9, like numbers with 9s, I would not do any of that. I'd give up the north. So that would be mitigating the risk right there. Okay, we did end up getting a north, but it might come back to us. Let's see. Here's 6, 7, 9. 1 of each suit. We do have some risk with 6, 7. or 7-9 or even 6-9 with 3-6-9, but I don't think that's too bad. It's a bit risky, but we have a hand with no gaps, so I think the risk is worth it. We've got keepers. Look at this. One crack. Here's a red dragon, green dragon. I would probably focus on like numbers at this point. Like numbers with ones and dragons. We can use the joker for the missing one band. Maybe we'll get it in the second Charleston. We're doing the first left, so we really don't have to worry about that at the moment. Let's pass a wind with a 3 and an 8. This is an example of a really good pass. This, I think, is the most benign pass you can do. West, a wind, with a little number and a big number and 2 suits, plus we have even and odd. So this is a great pass. It's the best you can do. An example of the best kind of pass. Okay, we do have a green dragon, but I don't think it's helpful, even though it's a multiple. I think what I would do here is let the green dragon go and keep that north, because we still have some potential to play the first quint. And I would keep going. We have right now 4 clear discards. So we're going to keep
Charleston.
going. Let's pass 5, 7, green. Now we could pass 5, 6, or we could pass 6, 7. That would be risky. I would probably do odds instead of consecutive run as the pass. So that's mitigating the risk with what we have left over. It's doing the best we can after focusing on our own hand first. Okay, we got the green dragon again, but we want to be able to pass defensively. I would probably pass 6.47 instead of green with 2 bands. That would be pretty risky. So I'd probably break that up. We might be able to do this 4 band 6 dot green dragon. That's not too bad. The 4-6 is in one category, but at least it's 2 different suits. We're hoping to get that 1 band, and we got it. We did end up getting a pair of norths, but we have a hand now with no gaps, like numbers with ones and dragons. And we do have a gap, no white dragon, but we can get to a ready spot. We can use the joker to help us with the ones, and we need a flower still. I would break up the north. This is where joker bait during the Charleston is a hindrance. I would rather pass fully, because we're going to get a full pass now from our left, and then we're going to get to go across. So I would want to pass fully instead of maybe playing a quint when we have a hand with no gaps. So instead of being in between the quint and like numbers with ones and dragons, we're going to go with the strongest option. So in this particular exercise, we were able to hit every topic that we covered in that presentation. Let's break up the north and pass fully.
Courtesy pass.
We didn't get a keeper, and we have 2, 3, 6 for passing. I think I would still pass fully 3, and I probably would pass 2, 6, because a 2, 3 is consecutive, and it could work for the year category. That's 2 categories it could hit. So I'd rather break up the 2, 3 and mitigate that risk by passing the 6 and the north. Let's see if we get a white dragon. No, we did. We got the green dragon back, which really is not helpful. So in this case, I would say that we are a contender. We have 4 discards. I wouldn't say we have joker bait because we want to keep that green dragon. Oh, you know what? I thought we were doing Charleston practice. I'm sorry, we're in a game. Shall we play this out, or shall we do another Charleston? Put a 1 in the chat if you want to keep going. We're playing with robots. I thought we were in the Charleston modeling. You want me to play it out? Artistic says yes. I need a second, or we do more we still have time to do 2 more. Okay, we'll keep going. Okay, so let's when I'm not playing a hand that is going to use the dragon, like in this case, we're playing okay, we're going to keep going. So we're going to play the dragon hand probably. So I'm going to let the dragon go first because it is the riskiest tile we have. So we're going to let that go. We have
flower.
3 discards. So I would say we're still a contender because we're playing concealed. We're going to have to draw really well. We're going to ignore because we're going to, we're playing concealed. So we've got to draw this.
Flower.
Oh boy. So flowers are going down. Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
West. 6 bam.
Okay. So we don't want a 6 bam.
Call. 7 crack.
There's a pure Kong in front of us there.
Soap.
Oh, that's our tile, but we're concealed. We got our tile.
8 dot.
Okay. Now I would
6
say
dot.
we've jumped up to front runner. We filled the gap. We only need, all we need in here would be maybe another 1. We've got 2 discards. I'd say we've moved up to front runner.
4 bam.
So we could
6
escalate
crack.
that as a discard. Nobody wanted the 4. Wins, if I'm not playing wins, they go first.
South. 5
And
dot.
the reason for that is because number tiles are more likely going to be in exposures with jokers. So I try to keep the number tiles.
North.
You
3
can see
dot.
people are discarding wins. We're concealed. All right, we're going to throw the 7
dot. 8
4
dot.
A 4 bam will be a discard.
1 dot.
So will the 3. Okay, now you might be tempted to call this, but I wouldn't because we've got 3 dragons. All we need in here is a flower. That's our only weakness. And we could always switch to the first hand and use jokers.
4 crack.
Okay, so the 4 bam can
4
go.
bam call. 7 bam.
There's a joker up for grabs with the 4 bam. Okay, we have 2 3s. None are out. Let's let the 3 dot
3
go.
dot. 7 dot. Joker swap. 2
Oh, they
bam.
got the joker. Those robots are
crack.
lucky. Okay, 5 crack is being discarded. And let's see if someone takes it. Nope. So we did get a red dragon. And that's risky to hold on to more so than the 5. So I would let the dragon go. We only
4
have
dot.
2 discards.
7 bam.
So I want to hold the safest tiles possible and the most likely tiles that can be used in exposures with jokers to optimize my potential to get a joker exchange. Okay, 4 crack. There's 1 out and there's a 5 crack out too. Let's let the 5 go.
3 bam.
Okay, so we don't need that.
7 dot.
Don't need 7. We're
9
looking for
dot.
1s. We got a 2. If I'm not playing wins, they go first. Dragons go next. And then after that, year tiles. So let's throw the 2.
2 dot. West.
And that's because of the big hand on the card. That's a 75-point hand. So I try to sabotage that hand if I can.
South.
We don't want wins.
9 bam.
We're looking for 1s and a flower. Okay, 8 bam can
8
go.
bam. East.
We need a keeper badly. That flower. That's our only weakness.
9 bam.
And that is the only
West.
risk, by the way. 5 bam. We can let that go. We've got a 4 bam pung and a 6 bam Kong. So this 5 bam might be a needed tile.
5 bam. West.
Nobody took it.
9 dot.
We're good there.
South.
Okay, we need a keeper. We got a 2 dot.
2 dot. North.
Okay, no.
East.
We need a flower.
North.
The statistics that I Love Mahj have on their website say that you get 1.26 flowers from the wall on average. So I'm hoping we'll draw a flower.
5 dot. 8 bam.
We're good.
9 bam.
Good there.
1 crack.
Nope, that's our tile, but we're concealed. Okay, now here's joker bait. 3 crack pair. None are out. We're at 47 tiles. Joker bait works in the middle of the middle game, and we're beyond that. We're actually 2 picks from the end game. The end game begins at 40 tiles remaining. You can see right here's a counter, 47 tiles left. So I think we should throw the 3 crack now, and let's see if we can get an opportunity to exchange for a joker.
3 crack. 2 bam.
Nope, it didn't work. It was a miss. It is hit or miss. And that was a miss.
7 dot. 1 bam.
Okay, that's our tile, but we can't call it. Okay. Nobody wanted the 3. Nobody wants the 5. Let's let the 4 go.
4 crack. 9 dot.
So the 3 and the 5 should be safe as we're going into the end game.
7
The last
bam.
40 tiles.
Soap.
No, we're good there. We got a joker.
5 crack. East.
So we're going to maybe use that to help with the ones here. We have one discard. We need a flower badly. A joker will
2
do
dot.
2.
2 bam.
Clearly our opponents were discarding them early. Okay, 2 crack can
2
go.
crack. Mahjong.
Oh shoot, that was a Mahjong. Someone's playing, especially with the tiles lined out this way. So I don't feel bad about throwing that. We got 1 away from a ready hand, which was really good. We have an opponent over here with flowers. So there were 3 flowers discarded plus 2 there. That's 5. We have 6 here. So there were 2 flowers in the wall. I was really hoping to draw them. Okay, so let's go again. We're going to play. Hopefully we'll get to play 2 more games.
First Charleston.
Okay, what do we have this time? We have 2 multiples. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to use the multiples. White dragon, 3 dot. So something with white dragon and 3 dot. We might be able to do something consecutive, 3-4 dragon, maybe here, 3-4 dragon, or maybe if we get a 1 dot, we could do 1-3-5 dragon, 4th hand down under under odds. The other hand was 3rd hand down under consecutive run. I don't know about a year hand because we have 5, 7, 8. Look at that, all 1 suit. I would not do that. This is the first right. I would not pass that. I think what I would do is let something go. We have options with 3, 4, 5, maybe the concealed hand even, or maybe 3-4 dragon, let the 5 go. So I would let the 2 crack go and mitigate the risk of passing all 1 suit. Okay, no keepers, but we've got discards. So that has a little bit of risk, but we did the best we can with what we have left over. Oh, look, we got a 2. We could maybe try the concealed hand. And I would risk passing 1 category here because we have a nicely developed hand, including a pair in there, 2 pair, the 3 dot and the white dragon if we play that concealed hand. So we're gonna go ahead and pass 1, 3, 7. No keepers. And I would continue and I would risk passing 2 wins because the hand is pretty well developed and we have jokers. There is a little bit of risk with the flower again.
Second Charleston.
But I would keep going. No keepers. And I'm okay with that because we need to go across. No keepers. And I would risk 6, 8 in 1 suit. We've got a nicely developed concealed hand here.
Courtesy pass.
No keepers. And we have discards this is not too bad of a risk. It's a little bit risky with a 1-2, but we had other risky passes. So I think the hand warrants passing 1-2. We're pretty well developed here.
Flower.
We have 3 discards. So I'd say we're probably a contender because we still need 2 pair in here. We need a flower and a 4 dot. And here a robot is throwing away a flower again.
So
we're probably playing concealed.
8 dot.
And I did not take that white dragon because we have more tiles to the concealed hand. And we just filled in for one of our pair, 4 dot. So now
7 crack.
Only 2 discards.
1 dot.
I would say we're now a front runner. So we can discard risky now. We're probably ahead of everybody else is my guess. We have one weakness, the flower, but we're much earlier in the game and only one flower is out.
9 crack. Green.
My hope is that we're going to draw a flower. There it is.
2 crack.
Okay, now we
1 dot.
now we have one discard. I'm thinking we're going to win this game. It's
East.
not a guarantee.
2 dot.
Okay, that we can use our joker with, and we're playing concealed. Now, here's something. If we happen to draw a 3 dot, a 4 dot, or a white dragon, we might switch to that third hand because we can call for tiles. So right now we're really close to that concealed hand, but we could maybe still switch to the third hand down under consecutive run.
East. 5 bam.
But I wouldn't call anything
North.
because we can use jokers.
5 bam.
We need
Red.
a 2 dot,
8
5
bam.
dot, 2 dot or 5 dot or joker.
2 crack. Call. 5 dot.
Ooh, there's a joker. There's already a 2 dot out. That's our tile there, but we're concealed. We got a white dragon. Let's throw the 3 crack.
3 crack.
So now this
3
is where
bam.
I would consider switching to 3/4 dragon. Even though I don't know, because we would need to dedicate a joker to the dragon, which needs to be a Kong, and then we'd only be able to call either the 3 or the 4. I think I might still consider the concealed hand.
1 bam.
Let's see if we can get a 2 or a 5.
Joker swap. 7 crack.
So they got the joker. We don't need a 9
9
bam.
bam. 4 dot.
Oh, that's a pair tile. We would have to decide now. I would say since we can use any number of jokers for the 2 and the 5 for the concealed hand, I would play it out. I think I would play it out. Because otherwise we're going to be short a joker. Let's see here. We'd have to dedicate a joker to the white dragon. We'd have to call the 4, discard the 5, and draw a joker. Let's go ahead and call. We'll expedite. We'll Kong.
Call.
And then we'll discard the 5 dot.
5 dot. 1 crack.
If the 3 dot goes down, we can Kong, and then we're just waiting on a joker. So 1 what left? Okay, we're going to ignore that. We're playing the third hand under consecutive run. We're still 1 away, but we can call.
Joker swap. 3 bam.
Let's see if we can get a joker,
Green.
another joker,
4 crack.
or the 3 dot. If we get a 3 dot, we'll be set.
Call. 1 bam.
Okay, now there's a couple of jokers up for grabs.
South.
Okay, let's let the 2
2
dot
dot.
go.
1 dot.
We're looking for 4
6
crack,
crack.
maybe for a joker exchange.
Joker swap.
Oh,
South.
they got one. A 3 dot would be nice.
Red. 9 bam.
3 dot would be ideal.
9 dot.
We got a 6.
6 dot. Call. Red.
Okay, pung of 6 dots to the right.
Joker swap. 5
They
bam.
got the joker.
5 dot.
Okay, we want a 3 dot. Oh, let's let the 8 dot go.
9 bam.
Okay, 9
Red.
bam. Red can go.
East.
We don't need wins. 4 bam. Let's let that go now.
4 bam. South.
Okay. Nope.
3 bam.
We're looking for a 3 dot
2 dot.
or a joker. Oh, we got a 2 dot. That is out. There's 2 out. Let's let the 8 crack go.
8 crack. West.
Okay.
9 crack. West.
Nope. Okay, 6 bam. Let's let that go.
6 bam. Mahjong.
Oh, darn. Oh, bummer. Okay, so they have 4, 5, 6, 7. There's that hand of least resistance. We got 1 away again. So we were looking for a 3 dot or a joker for the white dragon. Very close on that one too. Let's try to play one more game.
First Charleston.
Okay, so now we have a pair of 9 norths and a pair of 8 dots. So I would play probably maybe a quint with 8s. Here's 8s. We have a pair of 8 dots. We want to try to use that. Maybe we could do north and south with 7, 8, 9. I would stop there and pass red 3, 5. That's not too bad. It's a little bit risky with 3, 5, but we need to keep options in our hand. Okay, here's an 8 dot. We really don't need, let's see, 8 dot. I think I would let the south go. We have potential for this quint here. I think I would probably, let's see, we have 7, 8 in BAMs, 8, 9 in dots. That doesn't work. 6, 8, 9 doesn't work either. And I wouldn't hold the north-south with a run because we'd have to let an 8 dot go. I would rather go for the quint. So I would probably let the 9 dot go and play the quint. Or maybe if we get, let's see, actually we do have some potential here for news concealed. News concealed with 7 dot or 7 BAM 8 dot, but we have no east and west. Those are gaps. So I would not consider that hand. I'd rather go for the quint. Or maybe like numbers if we get more 8s. Okay, let's keep it nitty gritty, please. Oh, look, we got a west. All right, now we're on first left. Here, we could pass 1 blind. We're kind of in between. We have 2 jokers. We could Kong the north and quint the 8. I think what I would do here is let the 8 BAM go and switch back to the news concealed hand. My guess is we may see the 7 BAM again. And we now only have 1 gap and it's a single tile. I think I would go with news concealed. Leverage the north and the 8. We got the north and we have 2 discards. So now this is when we have to decide if we're going to pass risky. We have 2 gaps, so I would not pass a flower. I think what I would do here is probably let the west go. Or actually, you know what I would do? Let the south go and keep going. The hand is not developed enough. The south, if we play the concealed news hand, we can use jokers. Can't use jokers for a single. We can still maybe play the quint if we get that 8 back. Okay, we got the 7 and the south. So now I would go back to, oh wait, nope, we can't go back. And I would risk passing that flower. Let's see here, 7, 8, west, south, north. I would let the north go because we can use jokers. We got the 8, and now I would pass blind because we're back to being in between the news concealed hand and the potential quint. We might get the north back, and we might even still get a south back for the concealed hand. I think I'd rather keep my options open for that potential quint. Let's
courtesy pass.
We got the 8. So now let's go back to the quint. Somebody has the north. If they throw it, we can use one of our jokers to call the north. That's why I passed it. And we can pass fully here. So let's pass 1, 7 west.
Flower.
Okay, so we did get that east. So let's see how this goes. We're going to try to play the quint.
Flower.
I'm hoping the north will go down. Okay, so let's see. I would probably hold the wins for a little bit. Let's discard the 6 dot.
6 dot. 9 dot. Flower.
We don't need flowers.
Flower.
Look at those flowers go down. Okay, there's an option if we go back to the concealed hand.
2 dot.
2 dot is a year tile.
1 dot.
We don't need that.
6 BAM.
We're good there. Oh, that was just thrown.
6 BAM. 5 bam.
Okay, we're looking for 8s and a north. So
7
somebody
bam.
kept the north. Somebody also kept the 7 bam,
2 bam.
but they didn't take it. Okay, now there's another option. Oh, look, we could do 7, 8, 9 with north and south
1 bam.
instead of
9
quint.
dot.
Let's see if we can get that 7 bam.
Green. Call. 4 dot.
So now we have potential for the second hand down under wins. There's a 9 bam. I think I would let the east go.
East. East. West.
We're good there.
4 crack.
We're in between the quint and the second hand down under wins.
4 dot.
We have a pung we don't
West.
need.
9
If
dot.
we play 7, 8, 9, we could pung the north, pung the south, and Kong the 9, be ready on the 7. But the thing is, one of these robots kept that 7 bam. I think we threw the 7 bam before we had the 9 paired up.
Joker swap. 9 crack.
East. We don't need
East.
that.
6 dot. 6 bam.
No, we're good.
3 crack.
We need a 7 bam.
Call. 7 dot. 3 dot. Call. 5 crack.
Oh, there's a joker for grabs.
Call. 1 dot.
Oh, another one.
Flower.
Okay, we need a 7 bam or a south would be nice. 3 crack. That's already out in a pung, pure pung.
3 crack. 7 dot.
Okay, we're good.
4 bam.
Let's see if we can get
So.
a joker. No, we got an 8 though. Look at those like numbers, but we have no flowers.
8 crack. 8
That would
crack.
be a gap.
5 dot. 8 crack.
Okay, we need a keeper. That would be a keeper. So now north and south was 7, 8, 9. We're set. We can pung the north, pung the south, and Kong the 9. We have a pung we don't need, but look at all the multiples we have for the other hand. So I would let the pung go.
8 dot. 6 crack.
Nobody wanted it, so they should be
So.
safe.
West.
Somebody may be playing north and south. So we might have a competitor for
1 dot.
tiles.
8 crack.
And it would be north and south, maybe with dragons to the left. So I think Agata may have north and south.
East. Joker swap. 6 crack.
1 dot we just threw.
1 dot. 2 bam. 4 dot.
We're good there.
Flower.
Okay, we need a keeper in here. 4 crack. Uh-oh. Okay, now this is going to be a risky discard. A 4 crack is out. We have a 3, 5 in front of us. I don't think they need a 4 crack, though. I think they're playing 1, 3, 3, 5, and 2 suits. So we're going to let this 4 crack go.
4 crack. West. Joker swap. Mah Jongg.
Darn. Oh, we got so close. But we tried. We were back and forth between a quint and the least concealed hand. All right, I think let's try to do another quick game.
First Charleston.
One more game. Oh, look at what we have. All singles. This is a really great example of predominant pattern. We don't have a multiple, so we're going to look for the predominant pattern. It seems that it's risky to play concealed with pairs if you don't have the pairs in your hand. It is. You can't call for anything. Yep, it is a risk. But if you have no gaps, I say go for it. Like that concealed consecutive hand, we didn't have pairs, but we gathered them. We had a hand with no gaps and we built it up. So it's just something that you have to just make a judgment call. But yes, there is risk. Every hand has risk. Some have less risk, some have more. The more pairs and singles, the more risk. Okay, so let's see. We have 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we have 3, 6, 9. I would probably let the wind go with a dragon, and then I would let something go here. We have 2, 3, 1, 3, and 3, 6, 9. So probably the 7 can go. I think we're in between 1, 2, 3, maybe a year hand, or 3, 6, 9. We've got a 9 and a 1, but look, we got a multiple, the 1. So now we reassess and we target the 1. Whatever we play, we're going to use the 1. So here we have a dragon that corresponds. Maybe we could play a 1, 3, 5, dragon hand. That would be the 4th hand down. We might be able to play something with 1, 2, 3 consecutive run. And then I would leave the rest for passing. We can't use 9s with a 1 unless we were to do maybe the concealed hand. So maybe we could try for the 9s, but that leaves us with East and 2 6s. So I would not pass 2 6s. I would pick one of the 9s and let one of the 9s go. Or the red dragon. You know what we could do is keep both 9s, let the 6 dot go, and then the red dragon, since we have no 5. That would be a gap. The 5 would be a gap for the dragon hand. 4th one down under odds. No 5 crack. So we can let the dragon go. It's useless without the 5. And if we happen to get 5, 7 in either bams or dots, we could maybe try for the concealed hand. Okay, we got 3 dot. So we have 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 3. Here's the south. That can go. We have, let's see, the 9 crack can go because we have no 5, 7 for odds in one suit. The 6 crack, that would be somewhat risky right there. But we're doing the best we can because really we have, I wouldn't pass like numbers with 9s. What I probably would do is keep the 9 crack and let the 9 bam go and do 2 suits with 6, 9. Okay, now we have 2 multiples, 1, 2. We have a hand in here with no gaps. 1 crack, 2 bam, 3 dot, mixed suit Kongs under consecutive run. That would be the 5th hand down on the left. So we're going to keep going. We do have like numbers, but we could pass north 9 crack with an 8.
2nd Charleston.
8, 9 is not too bad in 2 suits. Okay, we got a keeper, 1 crack. Now we're left with like numbers with 9s. So I would probably let something go in here. We have 1, 2, 3. I probably would let the 3 crack go. We have 1 crack, 2 bam, 3 dot, no gaps. Okay, we have a 3, 4 in dots now, 2, 3, 4. And we have tiles we can pass. I wouldn't be distracted by the green dragon with a 2, 3 because we'd have to throw away a pung of 1s. So I'd rather pass fully.
Courtesy pass.
And we got a keeper. And then we have 2 discards. I would want to pass fully. So I would let probably the 4 dot go. Even the 2 could go. Even this 3 could go. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. The south can go. 1, 2, 3 mixed suit Kongs is what I would focus on here. Let's see. 1, 2. Yeah. Okay. We're going to pass 3. South 8. And then we have to let something go. Probably the 3 can go. I don't think we need any of those.
Flower.
All right, we have 5 discards, so we're an underdog. Even though we have a hand with no gaps, we have 5 discards. We're going to have to draw really well and take low risk. Okay, here's a 1 dot. Might as well keep it. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just keep all 1 through 4.
9
let the 9
bam.
go.
North.
We'll let that go.
Red.
We don't need dragons.
Green.
Okay, we got another multiple there, a 2 dot. Let's let the 8 bam go.
8 bam.
So we have
9
1,
track.
2, and 2 suits. 1, 2, and dots. Let's see, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 mixed suit Kongs is probably our strongest option. That's the 5th hand down under consecutive run.
8 dot. Red.
We're good there. Remember addition, 2, 2, 1. Thank you. That's a good option. 7 crack.
7 crack.
Either way, we
6
need to
crack.
Kong the 2 and the 1, so we could Kong both of those If we happen to get a flower, we still need a pair of flowers, even if we played addition. Excellent, excellent eye there, Ruth.
South, south,
North. We don't need wind.
north, red, 3 bam, 8
A
bam,
3 dot or a 2 dot flower would be nice. Let's let the green
green,
go.
3 crack, 1 dot,
Nope, we're good there.
1
We can
dot,
probably escalate that now as a discard. North we
north,
don't need though.
6
It's
dot,
already down.
call, 5 dot, 9 dot,
Okay, we're looking for, well, we'll let the 1 go.
1 dot,
We're looking for a 2
6
dot, a
crack,
flower for sure. The 4 dot probably can go. The 3 dot is
north,
an option for the 5th hand down under consecutive run, or we could play let's see, wait a minute. No, not the addition hand, because we have 2, 2, 1. It's 1, 1, 2, and we let the 1 dot go. I think 1, 2 with the 3 dot is pretty strong still. We just need a little help with our
6
3 dot.
crack,
A joker. So let's let the 4 dot
4 dot,
go.
7 dot,
I'm thinking the 2 dot can be joker bait. We're really 3 picks away from the ideal time to discard the 2 dot.
Eight dot, 3 bam,
Oh, green dragon's
green,
already out.
south, 8 dot,
We're good there.
1 crack,
Okay, well, we're going to call it and Kong. We have a hand with no
Call.
gaps. So it's good
7
to
dot,
expedite
9
development
dot,
by calling if you can. And there's no risk there because that's a pure Kong.
9 bam, 8 bam,
I would say we're probably still an underdog right now. There's 1 flower out, and I have the
9
hardest time
crack,
getting flowers.
soap,
I don't know why
south,
that is. It's
soap,
crazy. We need a flower.
west, call, 8 dot,
Okay, we need a flower.
9 bam, 3 bam,
No,
red,
good.
9 dot,
We're good there. Oh,
7 bam, 4 bam,
okay. How many 6 bams? We need to let the 6. Oh, we're at 50 tiles. We need to let the 2 dot go. That would be our
call,
joker
1
bait.
dot, 4 dot,
We're good there. Let's let the 2 dot go and see if we can get a joker exchange.
2 dot,
No,
9 crack,
it was a miss.
7 bam, 1 bam,
Okay, let's let the
2
2
dot,
go.
4 dot,
Okay, now across from us, they're probably doing 4, 5, 6, 7, pung kong, or 2, 4, 6. Let's see. No. They're doing 4, 5, bam, 6, 7 dot across from us.
5 dot, 2 dot,
That's a good discard too now. 4 bam is safe. We're in the end game now, so we want to hold safe tiles. The 4 bam, let's see, 4, there's a pung out for the 4 bam. The 5 dot was just thrown. There are 2 out. 4 crack, I don't see. That's our riskiest tile. If we're playing to win, we should throw the 4.
4 crack,
The 6
East.
bam will go next. That's also a fresh tile.
call, flower,
So we
call, 5
oh
bam,
no. So now 5 flowers are out.
call, 5 dot,
Okay.
6 bam,
Oh, we got
6
a joker.
bam, 1 bam,
Okay, now let's just see if we can
3
get some
dot,
songs. Okay, we'll call. And I think the risk is worth it to put out two jokers.
call,
So now 5 dot was just
4
thrown.
bam,
Nobody wanted
3
it.
bam,
We still need a flower.
9 dot, 2 dot, 9
I
bam,
think we'll get a
7
flower.
bam,
We're
joker
supposed to get
swap,
1.6.
flower,
Oh no. Okay, now
2
that's 4,
crack,
6, 7. Only 1 more flower left.
Mah Jongg,
Okay, so the robot won again. Oh my goodness, these robots. Goodness. We got 1 away again. So we got close to these hands, and we had a lot of opportunities to demonstrate good decision making, a lot of Charleston decision making based on the presentation. So I hope you found this helpful. We'll be doing it again. I'll always be making improvements to the presentation if new ideas come. And there is one, and that is, if you're an underdog, take low risks. If you're a contender, you can take some risk. And if you're a front runner, no holds barred. Go for it, regardless of risk. And I'll add that to the presentation for the next time. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you found this helpful. Please let me know your ideas on decision making and strategies during the Charleston in the comment section below under the video. If you're watching the repost, thanks for watching my videos. Please comment under the video if you have any ideas or questions. I'd be more than happy to help, as will the community members. Thank you again so much to channel members for helping support MAHJLIFE. Moderators, thank you so much for... Oh, good. Lori, let me just share this right here. Lori says, this was great, and I'm less worn out than I've been at the beginning. Excellent. Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. Keep it going. Keep on going. It's a journey. Enjoy the journey. It's worth it. Also, the next episode, we're doing a double header with the Nitty-Gritty Let's Play live stream. We'll be back at 4 o'clock for Nitty-Gritty prime time. And I believe we're doing strategy by wall. So we did talk some about the strategies, but we're going to do a presentation that has some good visuals on strategy by wall. It's a wonderful way to compartmentalize your decision making. It's a good way to reduce overwhelm by compartmentalizing tactics. And then for advanced players, it's a good way to really gauge your risk taking. So I hope that you'll join us at 4 o'clock for the Nitty-Gritty prime time. That's 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Nitty-Gritty prime time, we're going to do strategy by wall. Oh, thank you, Kathleen. Thank you all so much for coming. We'll see you again in just a little bit. Anybody have any questions before I sign off? I guess I'll sign off. Oh, is there a question? Is it too advanced for you? Lori, how long have you been playing? I don't think it's too advanced. Strategy by wall, it basically, especially, you know, we're going to talk about Charleston decision making again. That's the preliminary. And then we're going to do begin game decision making. So you could stick around for the whole thing, of course. All are welcome. It might feel 3 months. I think that you should come. I think you should come. I think it will be helpful. If anything is a little too overwhelming, just pick the ones that resonate with you and then add more as you go. As you gain confidence, you will find some jewels to take with you for sure. So I recommend that you come, or at least watch the repost and then circle back to it. I've got a lot of videos on strategy by wall. Incidentally, that is a term coined by Tom Sloper. I want to give a quick shout out to him, because he's the one who came up with that idea. I just took it and ran with it and made it my own. I think it's an amazing foundation for just a basic strategy, or really it's a framework for the game. Not a framework, a foundation. It's a good foundation, strategy by wall. And we'll talk a lot about it when we come back at 4 o'clock. Okay, see you then. Very good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. And we'll see you in a little bit. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table. Between now and the next video, may all your picks be keepers.